You eat the seeds. But yeah, of course, Nessa. I'm glad that we can, make you feel better. All right. So, Super Auto Pets tier list. I want to do my own. The cricket, I feel like is could possibly work. And I only say it could possibly work is because it only works if you have a horse. If you don't have a horse, the cricket is honestly trash. It's honestly trash. So I give it a C tier. It's decent. I wouldn't even say it's bound to get you a few wins because only in combination with the horse is it bound to get you a few wins. The Beaver, I'm gonna go C tier. Could possibly work. It gives you a buff on sell. It's not your first option. It's never something you really look for. Even in the early game, these are two units that you don't really look for first. A Mosquito, I feel like is A tier. In the early game, it's really good because it snipes horses and any other low HP. Horses and ants, it's a good counter for them. And I feel like if you take a Mosquito early game, you're solid. Like you're bound to get a few wins, but it's even better than bound to get a few wins because it has decent stats. It's a 2/2. So the 2/2 that does damage to another could snipe another unit. I think it's worth it. A Otter, I feel like is bound to get you a few wins. I feel like it's B tier because of the buff. If you get a level 2 Otter and you level it up to level 3, it gives a 2/2, so it's like a pair. And it's a unit, it's a pair that attacks. So it's bound to get you a few wins if you take it, especially in combination with units like the fish. Especially because these are all early game units. A horse, I feel like goes in C tier. Could possibly work. A horse is, honestly, if it wasn't for the cricket, horse would go and doesn't work often. It's not a very good unit, like at all. But in combination with horse and cricket, they're bound to get you a few wins. So it could go in B tier like this because of each other. But if you're looking at them individually, I don't want to give them the benefit of the doubt because without a spawn unit, which cricket is the only spawn unit early game, I don't want to give it the benefit of the doubt. I don't want to say that that unit itself is good enough. The pig doesn't work often. Honestly, the only time the pig really works is with buy-sell meta. And I never do buy-sell meta. So, like, in combination with, like, a buffalo or a dog or maybe even a chicken, that's the only time it really works. So, I think that is... No, it's not good. Like, it doesn't work often. I wouldn't give it F tier because it can have decent stats and it gives you extra gold when it sells. So, I don't want to give it F tier. A fish, I feel like is S tier. You see it early game, you buy it early game. There's nothing much to it. It has the best stats out of any unit. And if you see it early game, odds are you can get a level up. And although it doesn't have a great ability, its stats get you through the early game. And its level up boosts the whole team wide scaling. You can't really deny that. You know. Okay. We also have soy sauce flavor. Yeah, no soy sauce flavor. We're fine with the milk tea flavor. That one seems interesting at the very least. Somebody heard me make a pop more. Just ask for some sneaky little one. Just give them a little bit. They heard you. They caught you red-handed. A duck, fail. Honestly, trash tier unit. I don't even, sometimes like I go duck blind and don't even think it exists unless it's clouding up my shops. It's a terrible unit, awful, throw the whole unit away unless you buff it. It's the worst unit in the game, honestly. It's the worst unit in the game by far. I mean, maybe it's not the worst unit in the game, but I think it's the worst unit in the game. Maddie, say hi. Tell Maddie I said hi. I need to get back to playing some Battle Cats. I know that she enjoys those. They had Heavenly Tower on a little bit ago. I was going to play it, but we played Heavenly Tower like 10 times. But Battle Cats is definitely a fun stream game that I have a lot of fun playing. So I'll definitely be doing more Battle Cats in the future. It's a fun game. Poor duck. Don't feel bad for that duck. That duck is the first F tier, and it deserves every bit of that. Ant, I feel like it's always a good option. It's almost S tier, but because of its 1 HP, it gets sniped a lot. And it's not a unit that you want to stick around for like all of early game. Sometimes you rather pill it and get the buff. So it's got to go and always a good option. It's not the best unit early game, but it's definitely one of the better units. I honestly would say out of the top 3, it goes fish, mosquito, and ant. You know, so it's definitely top 3. She said, yeah, of course. Definitely. I remember a couple years ago, my phone screen cracked and got a small piece of glass in my cheek that I couldn't get out. Dang. You would think that a piece like that wouldn't get stuck in your body that long because the way your body works. That kind of thing should just push out on its own as your skin replaces itself. I don't know how the heck that happened. A sloth, I've never had it. So I'm just going to go in S tier because if you see a sloth, you buy a sloth. I've got like 140 hours in Super Auto Pets, and I've never seen one. And it's like the most fabled unit in the game. Even though it's the worst unit with a 1/1 and it has no ability. So the Sloth is actually the worst unit in the game, but it's the rarest unit in the game. So you see it, you buy it. It's S tier. Like, I don't want to give the Sloth fail because it's not an S tier for its good like ability. It's an S tier because it's a sloth. That's why. Like, it's an S tier because it's a sloth. Green Beetle, always a good option. Good stats. You feed it, it buffs the units in the shop, which I mean it's a half decent ability, not the best ability. Red Beetle, I feel like is always a good option. It's actually the better option of the two, of the red and the green beetle, but because the green beetle has 2/3, it's somewhat better, or it kind of balances out. But the red beetle is the better of the two, but I'm not gonna put it S tier. I won't put it S tier. The Bluebird, I feel like is probably B tier. And that's being generous. I feel like it's bound to get you a few wins if you can get a couple of them. Get your units kind of stacked up on attack. I think it's bound to get you a few wins. Because what it does is it buffs the furthest unit to the left by 1 attack for permanent. It's a permanent buff. So you get 2 of them out there, you know, buff them. You can make it work. So I think could possibly work isn't giving it enough credit. It can work. It often does. Spider, honestly, feel like doesn't work often. It's a very meh unit. Very meh. It's decent at best. 2/2 that spawns a 2/2. The only time it does anything good is if it spawns a sheep or a turtle. And that's like a 1 in 7 chance or 1 in 6 chance. So you don't really care for a spider. Like, the only time you want a spider is if you're running horse or something like that. And then a lot of times you replace the spider with a better spawn unit like a deer or a sheep even. You know, sheep has better stats. So doesn't work often. Peacock, I think is B tier. Bound to get you a few wins mid game. The problem with the Peacock is that it falls off late game. Like, falls off really hard if you don't feed it and get its stats boosted up. Its ability, its hurt triggers, they're kind of make it hard to work with because I've gotten a 50-50 Peacock and its ability is pretty much pointless at that point. Like, what's the 50-50 point for? If it's boosting its stats, you don't really want something that boosts its stats like that if it's 50-50. Especially when it only boosts its attack and not its health. So it's got to be a B tier because it's bound to get you a few wins in the mid game. Hedgehog could possibly work. C tier. It's a good unit, but it only works when it's with units that have hurt triggers. It's not like a Pufferfish or a Camel or a Peacock. If it's not with those, it's not going to work. It doesn't work. And honestly, a lot of times it'll end up killing your own team. I just realized I was yelling. Sorry, what sentiment is there? That's crazy. You would just think that your body would push that thing out of there. That would irritate. That would drive me crazy. Strawberry Kit Kat and cheesecake apple flavor. Yeah, I heard the strawberry Kit Kats were really good. I've never been a fan of Kit Kats though. Dang, skateboarding got rocks stuck in your face. Yeah, I could see that. Maybe gravel or something. Small pieces of gravel. Because I've had turf get stuck in my skin. You know, when you fall on turf, it's like, because the turf is rubber pieces and it's kind of hard. You fall on that stuff, it tears your skin up. I mean, my skin still hasn't fully come back after falling on turf. So I can see what you mean by that. It's definitely rough. Get that stuff stuck in there, but you don't really get turf stuck in there. You kind of just wipe it off if you're not bleeding, which I was, but still. Shrimp, actual fail. Dog water unit, trash. It only works with buy sell meta and it gives you 1 HP. Honestly, I don't even know what they were thinking with that unit. Like, maybe if it gave you 2 HP on a buy sell, it would be worth it and boosted to 4 HP. But if not, then the shrimp would be viable. It's honestly a trash unit. It's fail. Throw the whole unit in the trash can and burn it. Burn the trash can and get a new trash can for the duck. These two got to go in different trash cans because of how trash they both are. Turf gets hot. It does. It does. It gets very hot. Especially it's like if you're on an outdoor field. Because I was playing on an indoor field last time I fell on some turf and jacked my whole body up. Everything hurt. But yeah, I was on an indoor field. But outdoor fields and you're in the hot sun, you fall on that. Whoo! That hurts. It hurts real bad. Flamingo doesn't work often. It just doesn't. Even when you get a level 3 Flamingo, the best benefit that you can get out of it is a pill. It's not, I don't think it's a unit that's meant to stay around long. It's more of a unit that's meant to go out there and just kind of take up space before you pill it and get a 1/1 buff on 2 units. So it works as like an apple or 2 apples that you pay, you know, the price of 1. So it's 2 apples for the price of 1 if you pill it. But it's not a unit you want to keep around. It's a waste of space if you do. So I gotta go. It doesn't work often. It doesn't even possibly work. Elephant doesn't work often. I'm giving it a D tier. It can't. Like, it only works if you have it. Like, most of these units you'll hear work in conjunction with another unit. So most units only work if they're used with another unit. Fair. But some of these units just on their own are good. You know. So elephant, yeah, it only works if it's in front of a pufferfish, a peacock, even a camel, anything with a hurt trigger. But if it don't have that, it's honestly a trash unit. It's trash. Like, I won't put it in fail though, because it has good stats and it does work with certain things, but it doesn't work often. Crab could possibly work. Honestly, no. Bound to get you a few wins. Because if you have a high HP unit, you throw a crab out there, give it some meat or garlic armor even. It's got high HP, good, a few wins. It will get you. So, bound to get you a few wins. It copies the HP of the healthiest unit. So if your healthiest unit has 15 health, this crab starts off with 3 attack, 3 health, and then you put it out there and now it has 3 attack, 15 health. That's why you want to give it meat, so it does 5 extra damage. Trash. Like, I've had rats more often work for me because I'll draw with the other team, but because of their rat ability by giving me another unit to sabotage me, I end up winning because of their rat. So, trash unit, decent stats, but doesn't make it work often. It's honestly, it's a bad unit. So, I can't say that it's even worth taking at any situation unless you just genuinely are struggling for stats in the early mid game. Stupid hangnails. College marching band, outdoor field turf with black shoes and those polyester uniforms. They don't hydrate. The band like other sports. Yeah, and the band does get like treated rough because they don't get to like get the water like we do. You know what I mean? They don't got water boys for the band. Y'all out there in the, you know, big huge trombone carrying that joint around. And it was real bad in track and field. You know, we do that in the late spring when it's just sun all out there, and we're running on that track with those real thin track spikes. And no, we don't fall, but man, it's hot. I remember running on that, and I felt like my feet were on fire. It was like it was helping me run fast because I was like just trying to keep my feet off the turf. You know what I mean? So that was rough. A Dodo. Now, personally, I don't know if I give it a C tier. I guess it could possibly work. For me personally, no, it doesn't. It doesn't work often. For me personally, it doesn't work often. I don't have many occasions where the Dodo works that often, but for the respect out of people who do run Dodo and like the Dodo, it could possibly work. I'll give it a C tier. I feel like giving it a D tier isn't that fair. Swan, I feel like is A tier. I want to give it S tier, but I give it A tier because it is always a good option. It's not one of those ones where every time I see it, I buy it. I do want to buy it every time I see it though. But sometimes having that spot on your unit doesn't work with the synergy of your team, so you don't want to take it. You know, you wanna have something that works better for the ability. Like I could run a Rhino and then probably need a Tiger behind my Rhino, and all my other units are doing some good stuff. So I need to sell my Swan. So kinda want to give it always a good option. I feel like that's fair for that one. Dog, trash. Throw it in the trash can on its own. Throw it in its own trash can and throw the lid on top of that trash can. Actual trash unit. Trash, garbage, dookie unit. What's with the germ looking thing? The microbe? The microbe is on a different thing, and I haven't actually streamed pay to win much. I've streamed pay to win like a little bit of one stream, but the microbe is on a different set of animals that I don't use. Like the eagle, you don't see that. The caterpillar, you don't see that much on because I'm using a different set of pets. That's why you see the monkey, the penguin, because those are in the set that I'm using. But like these two bugs, the ladybug and the green beetle, you'll see those in the other set of animals in Super Auto Pets, but you won't see it in my set that I was using because I think free to play is just a overall better set of units. Whenever I run pay to win, I always run a microbe. Because microbe turtle, I always run that because it always wins. Well, not always, but most of the time it wins. It's actually like nuts. I'll probably show that eventually. I mean, odds are I'll end up playing Super Auto Pets again just because I still like the game and it's fun to me. So yeah, Tabby Cat, like the dog, trash. F tier, garbage animal. It sucks. It's not worth it. The only reason I say it is because like even if you get the Tabby Cat in a good manner, like and you feed it, it doesn't help your team at all, and you have to focus giving your Tabby Cat all the buffs, and it only gives your team temporary buffs. So it's trash. It's a trash unit. Like it gives your team temporary buffs, even if they're good buffs, it's still garbage. So if you try to build a thing around the Tabby Cat, I honestly don't even think it works often. It's a trash unit. Dromedary doesn't work often. I won't give it a fail, but it just doesn't work often. It helps scale the units in the Tabby Cat. It is a cat, yeah. Tabby Cat's a cat. It's just called Tabby Cat in the game. But yeah, this one scales the animals in the shop by like 2/2 every round. So if you keep it for a long time, and level it up, it does help scale the units before you bring them out, but it's not very good. Maybe if the buff was permanent, which I don't know if it is or not because I never use it. The bat doesn't work often. Is it D tier? Honestly, I do think it's D tier. Because I think it with a weaken effect makes it take 3 extra damage. And if you don't get the bat to at least level 2, it doesn't work often because it's only weakening 1 unit. And most of the time that 1 unit would be a unit that's not relevant. It'll have 2 HP or something like that. Or it'll be a scaler. Or it's not their strongest unit. Like, so I say it doesn't work often because it's a gamble. If it's not level 2 where it can hit 2 out of the 5 units and actually have a good chance of hitting it. And even then it still might not hit the units you want to weaken. And then doing 3 extra damage is cool, but you mostly have it for the override of its effect. So I give it a C tier. I'll give it a C tier because it does override melon armor and meat and stuff like that. So it's decent. It's decent. Decent. Maybe. I don't like it. I think it's trash. I never use it. I use it if I have no other option. Sheep. Could possibly work. I don't want to put it a B tier. It's not a B tier. It could possibly work. It's a C tier. It's a 4/4 that spawns 2 2/2s. You level it up. It's a whatever that spawns 2 4/4s. As far as a summon build, it's good if it works with a turkey, maybe a horse. It can work. I won't say it's bound to get you a few wins because it's not. Foot massage. I mean, I feel like after giving a foot massage, he at least deserves the couple. Like, come on now. That's how I would say. Turtle is S tier. Turtle's S tier. It's just S tier. It gives you melon armor. You can run buff turtle. I love running buff turtle. It's one of my favorite metas to run. Put your turtle in the front, level it up to level 3. Give it, you know, melon armor or whatever, garlic or meat, and make it take out the first unit. Give your units behind it, make them all strong, and give them melon armor. You can give multiple units melon armor, and it can't, like, teams can't snipe your melon armor before, like, you don't have your melon armor going out, so they can't snipe it off, you know, if they have snipe units. So they kill your turtle, then they get the melon armor. That's the beauty in it. Eliminate. Hey, what's going on? Glad to see you, first time chat user. The stream is going well. We are almost 6 hours in. By time I'm 6 hours in, we'll probably be done with this Super Auto Pets tier list. I was playing Super Auto Pets, so I was like, shoot, I might as well do a Super Auto Pets tier list since I've been talking about it for weeks. I was like, let me just do one real quick, and I'm having a good time with it. So how are you doing? Glad to see you, first time in the stream. Ox, bound to get you a few wins. I won't say it's always a good option, but it's bound to get you a few wins mid-game. Early and mid-game. You get an Ox at round 4, you take that. You take the Ox because it will get you some wins early game. Early and mid-game. It'll stop getting you wins around like round 8. But after that, you know, it'll fall off fast. It'll fall off real fast. Doing great in yourself? Doing all right. We are doing right. We are just chilling right now. Just enjoying it, relaxing a little bit. Glassy, who are you watching, Glassy? Tofwin. I'll have to see who she's watching. I'll catch up with her later. Rabbit. I feel like Rabbit could possibly work. A lot of people who play Super Auto Pets will be really upset with me for putting the Rabbit in a C tier. I just don't see it working that often if you don't run food builds often. Can you tell me why the fish is in the highest category? Okay, so Eliminate, are you familiar with Super Auto Pets? First question. Because if you're not familiar with Super Auto Pets, then this whole thing is just going to look like a jumbled mess. But if you are familiar with Super Auto Pets, I put the fish in the highest category. Okay, so I put the fish in the S tier because I feel like it is one of the best units, if not the best unit, to take in the early game. So, and that's why you see the ant up here in always good option, in A tier, mosquito in A tier, because if you're looking at just early game, not late or mid game, you're just vying out which units are best. The Fish is a unit that when you see it, if you're not already like convinced that you're going to run horses and crickets, you're taking the fish. And it has the best stats out of any of the early game units next to this green beetle. But because of the ability of the fish to level up wide scale, units, and its ability to work with the ant well, even with the bluebird, the fish can work well. So the fish just kind of works well with everything. And with the beetle, because of its ability to help scale the units in the shop, I was like, that ability is less useful than something that is already out there and scaling the units that you're using. So that's how it is. And the red ladybug is good, but you have to keep feeding it in order to keep that engine going. So I think that's where it kind of makes it not S tier. Turtle, S tier. I feel like, come on now, we got to get turtle S tier. Fish got huge momentum potential. It really does. Like when you see a fish late game, you're not surprised, especially if it's level 3 and it's got great stats. You get an early monkey or something like that. You throw your fish in the front because it's got good stats, and you give it melon armor. It'll be a statted unit regardless of its ability. It's got good stats, so you can't deny that. That's what it is. His name is Carl. Really, is it? I like that. Pocket Pen. Hey, what's going on? Oh yeah, I read your comment. Didn't even notice your name. Hey, that's fine, Moon. Enjoy your time with your man. I hope that y'all got that. Yo, why is Ox not A tier? Okay, I'm gonna explain myself, sand on my face. And hello to you. I'm glad to see a couple new faces in the chat. Ox is not A tier only because it falls off really hard in the late game. So I was going to put it A tier, but it's bound to get you a few wins. It's B tier. You get the Ox, you're getting some wins. You just are. Exactly, eliminate. That's so you gotta weigh everything out. Ox is God tier early game, mid game. Especially if you can buff it a little bit, maybe get a giraffe, maybe get some pairs on it. But no matter really how you spin it, when you start getting better units that are just better versions of the Ox, then it's one of those things that you don't want to have. You want to sell it and put a unit out there that makes your team synergy better. Ox typically doesn't have good synergy with a lot of teams. It doesn't typically work well with a lot of teams. It requires a lot of attention. So I had, just because of its late game prospects, I had to give it B tier, which is tough because it's honestly one of the best units in the game. But it's one of those units where you want to get rid of it. I got carried by Kangaroo Fish 3 times counting out. I mean, honestly, you see a fish out there with some good stats and you get nervous. It's a good unit. It really is. The only character with a name that's honestly solid. Carl the Turtle. I love it. I always love running Buff Turtle. Carl the Buff Turtle. I love it. Yeah. Late game Ox counters bat, mosquito, and leopard. It does, but in a way, melon armor counters leopard. Because if a leopard is going to kill one of your weaker units, you got melon armor on it, it'll tank that. So it doesn't necessarily counter it, but it does prevent that, crazy damage like that. And that's only if the leopard happened to hit the Ox. Late game mosquito, I get that. I run that. I feel that. Bat, I feel that. Bye, Moon. Appreciate you for coming through. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Everything got melon armor late game, which makes Ox's melon ability ignorable. Exactly. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, you've got melon armor. Melon armor isn't scary after like round 10. Because at that point, so many units have melon armor or have, chili peppers or something like that. What's it gonna do? The cricket should be higher because if you think about it, it's the same stats as the fish, 1, 2, and then a 1, 1 adds it up to 2, 3. That's true, but the only reason why I put it on there is because of its 1 damage. So it's like, yeah, it does add up to a 2, 3. That's a fair point, but when you buff the cricket, would you rather buff the cricket or would you rather buff the fish? Is my question, you know. And I think that most people would rather buff the fish than buff the cricket, because the cricket mainly is only good when it's working in conjunction with a horse or something that benefits a spawn unit. You don't really see too many people running buff cricket unless they got a horse somewhere to, you know, get them through those tough rounds. So that's the thing. If you have a unit like a fish, you know, versus a cricket, fish wins because of the 3 HP. It's a 1-2. So it's because of its low attack. That's what makes it, you know. It's not like if a fish, it's not exactly like if a 2-3 fish went up against a 2-3 fish. The stats do look like that, but you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to, you know, come down on you or anything like that. It's just like a fish will beat that even though it does add up to 2-3. That's all it is. Nah, cricket sucks, but I'm not a fan of the cricket, but that's why I put it in C tier, because I say it could possibly work under certain circumstances. I suppose now that, you know, like, familiar faces with this is, I will run through real quick and explain what this is. If y'all have any questions about what's on my tier list, you've already, like, let your concerns be noted. So if you have any other concerns about why something is where it is, please let me know and I'll explain it. Hey, Tyrannus, is that how you say that? Or Tyrannus? I like that name. That's kind of cool. First time viewer, how are you? Appreciate you for coming through. A lot of new faces today. That's really cool. Another one of Fish's upside is that it's a unit that can carry Bison buff you get early. Exactly. If your shops are working well with you and you get an early level 3 fish, you have good Bison engine right there. Otter is A or S. Okay. Is the expansion pack of Super Auto Pets worth it? Yeah. It's not expensive, and it's actually a fun version of the game to play. It's got some really cool units. You got the T-Rex, you got the microbe. Oh, I mean the T-Rex, not the dragon. T-Rex, you got the microbe. T-Rex and the microbe. Jesus. So you got some good, interesting units in the pay to win. I like tropical fish. Caterpillar's good. Puppy's decent. So there's some units in the expansion pack that make it interesting, worth it. You know, Poodle makes the second pack worth it. Honestly, I think T-Rex makes the second pack worth it. T-Rex is one of my favorite units. But I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, any other concerns that y'all have about my current set? I have the Sloth in S tier because it's a Sloth. Like, I've got 150 hours in Super Auto Pets and I still never seen a Sloth. You see a Sloth, you buy that Sloth. There's nobody who sees a Sloth in Super Auto Pets and doesn't buy that joint. Why is Otter only B? Oh, okay, yeah. Otter's only B just because it is one of those units that you're selling mid game. It is a good unit, but it itself is not a really good unit. Does that make sense? Like, it's one of those units you keep because of its benefit to other units, which is similar to the Bluebird. You know, its buff is just better. So once you get a level 2 out there, it's one of those ones that you take. So essentially it could be an A tier. Yeah, I can move it to A tier. I don't feel bad about moving it to A tier because it is honestly always a good option. Like, it's honestly a good option. Whenever you see an Otter, you typically take it. So it's not necessarily S tier in the sense that you see it, you buy it, but it is always a good option. So A tier is kind of looking kind of stacked, but there's some good units up there. But you also sell fish, ant, beetle, ladybug. That's very true. That's very true. You do sell them, but the fish is just one of those units that when you get a lot of them, it's got the best potential out of pretty much any of these units, as far as like scaling your team and stat wise. It's just got the best potential out of any of these. Mosquito does too, but I don't think I put it S tier. Early game it is really good, but I think A tier is fair for a Mosquito. bought the sloth twice in 100 hours. Gee, buy a lottery ticket. I know, right? My goodness. What kind of luck do you have? I'm telling you, I've got 150 hours in Super Auto Pets, and I've never seen a sloth once. Never even, like, maybe gotten a glance of a sloth. A pufferfish, a blowfish. I like the blowfish, but do I think it's B tier? No. I want to say it is, but it's not, because it requires so much. It requires so much to get the blowfish really going. Like, you gotta buff its stats, you gotta boost it up, you gotta level it up, and not only that, but you typically want to run it with a hedgehog so it gets those hurt triggers so it can hurt the other team. So I don't think it's safe enough to give it B tier and say that it's bound to get you a few wins. I don't think if you take a pufferfish, you're like bound to get a few wins, like you are if you take a crab with meat or an ox or even a peacock that's buffed up, you know. And I think a bird is even, you know, you got an argument there to where you move that and it could possibly work. But I think it's fair for early game. Bird does do a lot of good work. I don't know. What do y'all think? Does pufferfish go in B tier or C tier? I'm thinking it goes C tier. But when you really get it going, when you really get a pufferfish going, it's bound to get you a few wins. It's just tough, because if you can't get it going, it's not going to do it for you. I literally just ran pufferfish hog. I literally just did. Like an hour ago, I ran pufferfish hog. I had a it was dumb though. It was honestly such a dumb build. I'm surprised I got the 8 wins on it. And I had a badger in front of my 1-up hedgehog behind with my garlic armor super buffed pufferfish. And so the badger would do lots of damage to the first enemy, kill the next one, kill my hedgehog. The hedgehog would kill everything or damage everything, get a hurt trigger. I had a tiger behind my blowfish. And my blowfish was level 3, tiger was level 2. And I still only got the 8 wins with that. So it was honestly, it sucked. I had a level 2 penguin as well. So it was a good team, we just didn't get it early enough. I know someone played 500 hours and only see 1 sloth. Sheesh. 500 hours though? That's a lot of hours in Super Auto Pets. They must be nuts. The otter. Think of how I've never seen one either. Oh no. Oh, you sold it? Oh no. That's rough. I thought B. That's fair. I bought a sloth and then sold it after 1K. Yeah, that's rough. That's crazy. You must have thought it was an otter or something. The problem with pufferfish is that it's a tier 3 that pulls up with 5 HP for a unit that needs tank damage. 5 is kind of yikes. It really is. The only thing with that pocket pin is that if you have 2 hedgehogs that are level 1, it can tank all of that, you know. But then again, it's only got 1 HP left. So you're not using the pufferfish as anything except for a unit that's doing 2 damage off drop to another enemy after the hedgehogs already do their 2 damage. So at most you're doing 6 damage there to some enemies. But around the time that you get the pufferfish, 6 damage is a lot, you know. And it gets 2 hurt triggers if you have 2 hedgehogs. That's why I'm saying could possibly work C tier. I don't really know where to put pufferfish right now. Because, I mean, pufferfish seems like it could be C tier. You can always use with elephant, but elephant itself is kind of iffy. I know, right? Because with an elephant, you can't really do anything to level it up because it attacks 2 units, you know, behind it. So elephant works with the pufferfish, but if you buff it up, you'd rather buff up your pufferfish just in general, you know. So I don't know how much I like the idea of running pufferfish. Yeah, elephant puffer, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. You know, you want an elephant in front of a thing that will, like maybe elephant camel and something behind the camel, maybe. So something can get health where you're taking health away. I don't know. I think elephant is not very good though, but we'll get to that. So I go C tier because it could possibly work. You have to really make it work. You get a pufferfish, it's not going to work with most builds. It requires a pufferfish. The reason why it's C tier is because it requires you build around it. Any unit that really requires you build your loadout around it, like a horse. If you're running horse and you're committed to the horse, you got to run cricket. You got to run spider. You have to run stuff that goes with it. You have to be married. You're married to the pufferfish, so you have to build stuff. You have to go hedgehog. You have to go something that does damage to the pufferfish. Get those triggers. So that's why I think C tier is fair for it. If you really get it going though, it's definitely B tier, but no guarantee. Kangaroo, bound to get you a few wins. Guaranteed. Guaranteed, bound to get you a few wins. I don't think it's always a good option though. I don't think it's A tier. I don't think it's A tier. I've knocked off many a kangaroo. And the reason why I don't think it's A tier is because it starts as a 1-2. It starts as a 1-2. It's easy snipe fodder. You get a dolphin out there, it's done. It's KO'd. Even if a pufferfish level 1 happens to get a hurt trigger and hit it, it's done. Easily sniped. Game over. Done. Donezo. Even a deer in front of the kangaroo. If the kangaroo is running behind say a peacock or something, because it's going to attack multiple times. It starts off low HP. The peacock attacks, hits the deer. It goes up to, 3-4. The deer turns into a bus. Boom. Kangaroo's dead. So I've killed so many kangaroos using deer. And the only time a kangaroo really becomes a threat is when you get it buffed up. And so I think that it's not always a good option, because you really have to get it going in order to make it worth it. And then on top of that, it only works if the unit in front of it is really good, and really buffed up. So you're honestly torn if you don't have scalers. If you don't have many scalers, you're honestly torn on who do I buff, my kangaroo or my unit in front of my kangaroo, to give my kangaroo more buffs, more attack triggers. So I don't think it's always a good option, but I do think you take it like an ox, bound to get you a few wins. Mid-game, early mid-game, you're getting a few wins if you have a kangaroo. You're just going to get some. It's a good unit. You put it behind just like this, you put it behind an ox, you're getting a couple attacks. That kangaroo's doing work. I wonder if this is how I sound when I explain something other never played or watched. I mean, probably. But JCM girl, you've watched me play this, but not to the point where you really fully understand what's going on. So I see what you're saying. Kangaroos in a major pet. It's one huge upside is that you do not need to build it. All you need is to do it. That's true. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. But it easily gets sniped. And you do want to build it, because even when you get a level 3 kangaroo, you build it up. You're not starting from such low stats, so it's more dangerous. When you get to late game, there's so many strong units that the odds are is that your unit in front of your kangaroo is probably only going to attack at most twice. So if your kangaroo is still level 1, you're not getting much of a buff. You're getting 4-4. So what is that really doing if your kangaroo started at 5-6? You're not doing much here. You're mid-tier unit. You can get melon armor on kangaroo early if you pill a turtle. Yeah, but you see right there, Pocket Pen, like that's the thing. You gotta make it work. You've got to really make it work. You just like with the pufferfish, you gotta build around it. You gotta marry the kangaroo. That's why I think a lot of these animals on their own don't go S tier. But if you put it in combination, like horse cricket early game, that's S tier. That's S tier. That's a good combo, But yeah, like everything, if it's got that downside to it. I've never won an arena 100 hours. Oh wow, really? You know what? That's rough, because I had almost 50 hours in before I got my first win. And I mean, I was geeked. Like, I was so frustrated and so sad because I was learning how to play the game and I was getting beat the hell up. And I had 50 hours in before I won my first one. So don't get too tough on yourself. The community in Super Auto Pets is really good. Like, it's really good. It's a tough community. Just try to run meta builds until you win, and then try to get wacky with it. You know, that's what I always do. I'm like, I'll run something like monkey with a bison in the front and a level 3 fish behind it or something like that. Like, or just something that's like, this is scaling, it's getting stronger every round. If you do that, you're going to get a win eventually. Yeah, B is fair. Kangaroo is like a situational snowballer. Yeah, exactly. Definitely good mid game, just like the ox, but it'll definitely fall off late game. Understand the basis of the game, right? I just used to beef up the sloth with the giraffes and food shop. Honestly, that's good. But I think the tough part about a sloth is that you already have to be running a scaling build in order to run it. You know, like having a cat or something like that so you can have good food and to feed your sloth so it's not, you know, trash. Your first arena win takes a lot of time. It really does. It takes a whole bunch of time. All right, giraffe. I love the giraffe, honestly, because you get the giraffe so early. And even though it's a 1-1, it's an apple every single round for free. And then if you get it the level 2 early, it's 2 apples for free. You're just consistently buffing 2 units. And when your shops are looking bad, a giraffe is like a piece of gold because you have scaling now. Even if it's minor scaling in the early / mid game, you want that. You want that minor scaling. It's something. It's some kind of scaling. So I don't think it's A tier. I like it. I typically take a giraffe, but I'm giving the giraffe B tier. That's not something I expect everybody to agree with, because it is only a 1-1. But I think that if you have something that's getting, yeah, D tier, that's fair. Oh, B tier. Okay. I was gonna say like D tier. I'm like, man, that sucks. Yeah, it's opposite opinions. But yeah, like I think that it because of its small buff, when you take a giraffe, you're getting scaling before other teams are getting scaling. That's just facts. It's one of the earliest scalers that show up, you know. I got an undeserved win on my first night because I got carried by a bison because I got a level 3 hearse early. See the team that won, it does not look deserved. I mean, yeah, bison. That's why I say run a bison, because it's the simplest build to get a win with. If you get a monkey, you get a bison, you get an early level 3, then you kind of have 2 spots to do whatever. Throw a scorpion out there if you want to, behind your first unit. Second position scorpion, buff unit at the front, bison scaling itself in the back, and a skunk or something like that. That's a 10-win team, you know. Only one time in this game I'm pretty bad. Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had 1 win for sure. Like I said, it took me 50 hours to get 1 win, so it's hard to get a win. Giraffe scales good early, but gets outclassed by penguin quick. That's facts. Honestly, when you see a penguin, you take that, and I literally did that earlier. I was playing it, and I sold my giraffe for a penguin because the penguin is just a better version of the giraffe. It's still a 1-1. It scales everything that's level 2. So if you have a bunch of leveled up units, then you're honestly golden. You get a level 2 monkey, a level 2 penguin, that joint is popping. 2/2 every round for all of your, plus units. It's good. On my original Game Boy and the Game Boy Color, god dang. Those is ancient devices. A whale doesn't often work. You don't really see a whale used. Is it D tier? I think it's D tier, honestly. Maybe C tier. It would really it's in between C and D. I just feel like it's really circumstantial for a whale to work. You want to put a whale, you got a whale deer, whale hedgehog maybe. It doesn't have many things that it works well with. And I'm trying to think, like, I've gone whale turtle before and just beefed up my whale. So it killed my turtle, gave my whale melon armor. Then, I had a beefed up unit behind that. But that just took so much work when you could have just pilled the turtle and had a free space. So I don't think it works very often. It just, you look at stuff here, it really doesn't work very often. Can I just say that giraffe sound, just being someone saying giraffe will never not be fun? Honestly, And just like that pocket pin, the ant just going like, eh, like the ant. I love that sound. That surprised the heck out of me when when I did that, cause you know the mosquito made a sound and I put the ant out there and it was just like, yay! Like what the heck was that? But yes, giraffe just going giraffe. It's like, and honestly, the best sound in the game for an animal, T-Rex. T-Rex has the best sound because it's like a little kid going, rah! Like, you gotta love it. It's B because if you have a mushroom on the deer and then a whale behind it, it's so great. But the only reason why that doesn't work, eliminate, is because you have to have an extra space in front of that. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have an extra space in front of that deer with a 1-up. I've tried this before. Like, I wanted to go it. So you have to go 4 squad Marty. And you have to have an empty space in the front, whale behind your 1-up deer, go kill the deer, and then the deer spawns another deer and a bus. So you're kind of sacrificing your first space for at most a 15-15 with a chili pepper. So it's and you lose a whole spot for that. It's not worth it. Whale is very good if behind ox. Wouldn't that make it like the worst if it's behind the ox? Doesn't it kill the ox immediately? Like, I think that would make the whale the worst if it's behind the ox. I think if it's in front of, oh, you might probably mean in front of the ox. Because the whale would die, and then maybe if it's got a deer, you know, inside of it, the ox gets 3 triggers. But see, that's circumstantial. You see what I'm saying? It's just like the horse cricket example. It only is very good when it works with that unit. So for me personally, I think the whale's best friend is a deer. And that's the only time it's good. If you don't have a unit to work with the whale, it's trash. It's honestly F tier if it doesn't have a good unit to use its ability. You only pick up a whale for the ability, not the stats, not anything else, you know, only just the ability, and that's it. You know, and that's the same for like something like a scorpion or something like that. You only use it for its ability, but at least its ability is viable, you know. It's got the death touch. That's a hell of an ability. I still don't get the bus. Neither do I. I don't think the bus is meant to be like understood. Why is it a bus with a chili pepper? I have no clue. Whale needs too much building around it to make consistently viable. Facts. I think D tier for the whale. Snail. S tier. This is contentious. This is controversial. Favorite anime? Snail's an easy S? Okay, good. My favorite anime. Okay, everybody in the chat, say your favorite anime. I'll throw mine out. My favorite anime, just consistently going through time, has been Naruto. That's why you see it behind me. It's been my favorite anime for a very long time. But there are some anime that I really, 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 really love. As much as Naruto. I love Attack on Titan, Overlord. One Punch Man was good, but the second season I didn't enjoy it that much. It was decent. I said Attack on Titan. Sinbad. Sinbad was fantastic. I love Sinbad was so great. I despise Naruto. No, not Naruto. Naruto's great. I love it. I really like it. No, I mean deer in front of whale, then ox behind whale to get that. Yes, that's exact. Yep. Okay, so that's exactly what I thought you were saying, Tyrannus. Naruto shipping in Death Note. That's good. Yeah, Death Note is a classic, honestly. Mob Psycho, good show. Good show. I need to finish Mob Psycho. I do. Inuyasha. I know, Sarah. You love you some Inuyasha. I grew up watching Inuyasha too. Oh, two One Punch Mans. Assassination Classroom. I like Assassination Classroom. I hear really good things. I haven't finished that one either. Parasite. I really like Parasite too. It's not up there, but I think maybe it's in top 10. I'll do an anime tier list. I'll do one. But I'll have to figure out like which ones I'll do because there's so many I haven't seen. So Yeah, because we've talked about Inuyasha and how much Naraku is just he's just a dick. Like, why you did all that because you like the girl? Like, I love this girl, so I'm just gonna create chaos throughout the whole entire world and bring in the suffering and kill a bunch of people, and then I'm gonna kill the girl I love. Like, what is, you're weird. The manga One Punch Man. Yeah, but I look, I know you probably gonna hate me for this. I don't really read manga. Um, I love watching animation. I think it's beautiful to look at. So I prefer to wait for stuff to get animated rather than reading the manga. I choose Digimon as well. If you asked me 15 years ago, Digimon is, I mean, top tier. But personally, I was more Yu-Gi-Oh. Um, and I liked Pokemon, but Digimon was cooler. Digimon was just cooler. Season 1 OP goes hard. I mean, honestly, one of the best OPs. Yeah, like it's just, ooh, My Hero. I like My Hero. I do like My Hero. Um, Digimon better. I mean, facts. That's just facts. You're just spitting facts. Digimon better than Pokemon, honestly. Like, just think about it. You go from this tiny little, like this, to a T-Rex with machine guns on its shoulders or something. Like, isn't that one of the evolutions? It's literally like a T-Rex with Gatling guns on its shoulders. Like, nuts, bro. It's honestly ridiculous. And then some of them just turn into just straight people. Like, it's crazy. How dare you? This is not right. What? I like My Hero. What's wrong? What did I do? That is true. They do speak instead of saying they're only their names. I do like that. They do actually speak. Oh, because Digimon greater than Pokemon? I mean, it is. Digimon is just, it's great. It is. You couldn't have gotten me to say that as a kid, though. I would have said Pokemon. Especially back when I had Pokemon on the Nintendo 64. You wouldn't have gotten me to say that. Also, did you? Oh, yeah. Badger, bound to get you a few wins. I won't say it's always a good option. It honestly, it's almost A tier, but I'm giving it B tier. I'm giving it B tier. You don't read manga? I don't. No, I don't read manga. My sister reads manga and she tried to get me into it, but I can't. Badger is like 2 units. Honey Badger. It is A tier. It is. Is it A tier? It's A tier. It is. Especially mid game. Like, honestly, a honey badger will get you more wins than an ox, honestly. Like, going up through early and mid game, a badger with honey, a honey badger will get you more wins than an ox will. Just because of its ability. You give it some buffs. You give it to level 2, and it doesn't even need that many buffs. And you can, a team will have you beat. And you'll literally draw the second to last enemy, and then kill the last enemy, and then spawn a bee. So it's gotta be A tier. I hate the badger. I feel so dirty when I take it. Because it's so scummy. It's so scummy. I literally ignore the badger sometimes because it feels so scummy to take it, honestly. A badger late game, honey badger late game is just honestly still good. But the only time is like if your badger doesn't have that much health and you go into the late game and you get sniped by an alligator, kiss your team goodbye. You know what I mean? Because your last 2 units are dying for nothing. And you lose that. Like, you lose that fight. Badger scale is really good, though. It does. Level 2 ability it's honestly nasty. I prefer to read so my mind doesn't water and I miss something. Yeah, honestly, I think that when you're watching certain anime and you're so much going on, it's kind of hard to like wander. The only time I might wander is when there's not much going on, so that might be, the case. But yeah, sometimes you'll even miss something during a fight because there's so much going on. And you don't need to get a level 3. You really don't. You don't really even need to get it like much past level 1, but getting it to level 2 is easy. And once it's level 2, if you just buff it, it's going to get you in. Low 3 Badger with like 10 health can be even good late mid game. Yeah, it can. If Badger gets sniped, well, it's pretty bad. Yeah, I've had my Badger get sniped because it was level 2, but it was only like a 10-8, and it got hit by an alligator, and it killed both of my back units. So I ended up going from 2 decent units in the back to a 1B. Like, not good. Camel, I feel like could possibly work. It's C tier. Because you never take a camel off its base stats. You never take a camel because it's just a good unit. You never take a camel for anything besides the fact that it can get buffed and get in front of a kangaroo or a pufferfish and buff it up, or a peacock. Like, you're always going to see a camel with something that benefits from its buff. So you take it for its ability, and then after you take it, the sucky part about it is, if say you run camel kangaroo, that's the problem, because you want to buff both of these units, but you can't unless you have a level 2 giraffe. Then yeah, but you're scaling slow, so when you get to the late game, you're struggling. And then you have to get garlic on him, probably garlic on your deer, on your kangaroo. It's one of those units that just doesn't go into the late mid game well. You know, it goes into mid game, and like early / mid game, and throughout mid game, if you can buff it, it's decent, but only with certain units. It's just not worth it. You'd rather, instead of taking a unit that buffs the unit behind it, you'd rather just buff the unit in the shop or something like that. So gotta go with C tier. Not the best unit. Hatching chick, bound to get a few wins. B tier, easy B tier. Easy B tier. It's honestly no contest. It's an easy B tier. A 5/5 early hatching chick, which I think it's a tier 3. Is hatching chick tier 2 or tier 3? Tier 3. A 5/5 on units where most units don't even have 8 HP. Maybe they have 8 at most. You buff a unit that you've already buffed, you know, whatever, you got a Bluebird on something, you put it in the front, throw a hatching chick behind it. Odds are, and throw some garlic on that unit, you're winning at least 2 rounds. At least 2. And that's if you have no scaling. So hatching chick, easy B tier. I don't think anybody will disagree with that. Puppy, where do you go? Puppy is C tier. You're not bound to get a few wins with a puppy. Puppy is a very slow scaler. It's like a bison. The only problem is that saving 3 gold is so vital. For you to only be able to do 2 things, like you can roll once and buy 2 things. That's every single round, and your puppy's only scaling 2/2. That's so difficult to do, to manage a shop like that, pivot your units, and buff your puppy. Like, it's hard to do. And so you're gonna have to do struggling like buy sales. You can't do much with the puppy, and it scales so slow. Unless you get a level 2, then it scales better. But odds are it's tough to get a level 2 because you're not getting no chocolate, and you don't really see that many puppies in the shop. It's kind of one of the more rarer units. You don't really see a lot. Puppies do slow. I mean, I agree. It really is. Puppy is like buying a pair every round. It is. That's why you save the 3 gold. But the whole thing is that on some of those rounds, you would rather not buy a pair. You know, you might need to buy another unit instead of freezing it. Sometimes you got to freeze the whole daggone shop because you got the puppy and you got to save the gold. And then the next round, you can only make 2 moves and you still got 2 things frozen. And then the next round, you can only do 2 things. So, like, it's just this weird effect that the puppy has on your shops that just makes it not viable as a unit, especially with the scaling being slow. Now, and it sucks because I feel like if the puppy got 3/3 every round, it'd probably be too strong. You know, so I don't know. That's a tough call for the puppy, but I think it's C tier. I don't think if you take a puppy, you're bound to get a few wins. I don't think it's B tier. Don't think so. Tropical fish, you're not bound to get a few wins. I do think it could possibly work though. I do think it could possibly work because buffing your HP on your units, especially if you have a Bluebird in the back, and then so you have 1-1, 1-1. Although it's 3 spots to get that 1-1, if you don't have an alternative, getting the HP buff, you know, whether it's 1 HP or 2 HP, can work for your units to help you live through a couple tough rounds. So I think that it's Tropical Fish is C tier. I don't think I want to give it D tier. I don't think it's that bad. Its effect is decent, especially when it gets to level 2. I take a Tropical Fish at times. You know, boosting HP is something that you don't do a lot. Most of the time it's attack. So I think that's not a bad unit. C tier is fair. I don't know. Let me know if y'all disagree. I feel like it's not bad. Caterpillar, I feel like it's B tier. I feel like having a unit that copies the HP and attack of your strongest unit is kind of big. Yeah, it's arena, not versus. Yeah. And versus, a puppy is probably nasty because of all the rounds that you're playing. You're playing a lot more rounds. But most units with that kind of, you know, round count, you go up to 19 rounds in versus sometimes. I've gone up like 19, 20 rounds. So, you know, you can get some stupid builds in versus, honestly. But yeah, it's and you get melon armor on it, get a turtle out there with a caterpillar. It's honestly, it's nasty. Do I use Discord? I do use Discord. What is my Discord? Right now, oh, I had Rice Monster's messages up. Let me get out of there. So I'm just G's Day on Discord. Yeah, so this is our Discord right here. I don't know. I don't use it a lot. Most of the time, I'm just posting. Like, I have my bot post when I go live for people in the Discord. Yeah, so it's kind of one of the things where a lot of my viewers don't really use Discord. So I just use it to keep people updated in case they happen to have Discord and then get the notification. So yeah, that's kind of where that goes. Look up on Google Carl bot, Discord bot. What does it do? What does it do? The owl. You sell it, it gives a 2/2. Because of when the owl shows up, I think it could possibly work, especially if you're going with a buy-sell meta. You know, say you're trying to make a buffalo work, or you got, for some reason, you got a Scampy, or a dog, which a dog does show up with the owl. Like a moderation bot. I'm not saying add to start with bot icon. Would I get in trouble? What is it? Oh, the turtle. Carl bot. And is it Discord? Yeah. Hilarious. Yeah, it is. Carl as a mod. That's cool. Yeah, that's dope. But yeah, it could possibly work depending on what you're running. If you're running something that works with it. But if you're not running a build that's a buy sell, it's a D tier. But it does have decent stats as well. So because it has decent stats and it can work very well, very, very well with the buy sell meta, because it's a whole pair for 2 gold. You buy it, that's 3. sell it, get 1 gold back, get a 2/2, get a buff on whatever unit is getting to sell, Scampy, Buffalo, whatever have you. So it could possibly work. I won't say it's B tier though, because at most it's a good buy sell unit. Won't give it B tier for that. A squirrel doesn't work often. Honestly, I would give it F tier. But if you run a squirrel, like a level 2 squirrel with a cat, and then run 3 strong units, you might have something working. So I would say that it doesn't work often. It's about as viable as a whale. Monkey, easy S tier. Easy S tier on a monkey. 3/3, you get it up to level 2, it's a 6/6. Get it to level 3, it's a 9/9. Like, honestly, the monkey is one of the best units in the game right now. It's honestly goated. I'm sad that it's getting nerfed. I think they're bringing it down to a 2/2. Or maybe a 2/3. I don't know how hard the nerf is going to be for the monkey, but I know that it's going to get nerfed. And I'm really sad about it. Because it used to be a 2/2. And now it's a 3/3. So, like, the monkey wasn't used that much before. And now it's a 3/3, so it gets used all the time. Because it can go up to 9/9. You have a unit getting 10, almost 10/10 every round. Plus, maybe you got a level 2 penguin out there. That's ridiculous scaling. Honestly, your stats are gonna be just off the charts. A penguin, I feel like, is always a good option. Penguin's A tier, mainly because of its level 2 and its level 3 state. When it's level 2, it's giving 2/2 to everything on the in the lineup, only if it's leveled up. But honestly, by the time you're getting a penguin, you should have at least 1 or 2 units that's level 2. You get a level 2 penguin, those things are getting 2/2. That's a pair every round. And then if your whole team is level 2, you're getting like 10 gold worth of pairs for the whole team. It's honestly, it's a great unit. A tier, easy for me. Dolphin, C tier. I want to give it D tier, honestly, but I think if you get it to level 2, it's a good sniper. It's good anti-scorpion tech. It can snipe a turkey in the back if it's level 2 or even level 1, because I think turkey has HP. Snipes horses. Nate Destroyer, what's going on? What does a sloth do? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing, and it's a 1/1. The only reason it's an S tier is because it is the rarest unit in the game, and when you see a sloth, you buy a sloth. Because everybody who plays Super Auto Pets wants a sloth, and they want a win with a sloth. And they want to level a sloth up because it's the rarest unit in the game. I've got 150 hours in Super Auto Pets and I haven't seen a single sloth. Did it. Are we back? Hold on, let me check. Yep. Okay, we're back. Cool. Yeah, I didn't realize the cord was right there. Deer is honestly, so I'll tell you, my 2 favorite units in the game are the deer and the rhino. By far my 2 favorite units in the game. I love the deer and I love the rhino. I don't know why, I just love the satisfaction of the deer going level 3, getting a buffed up deer with a 1-up and spawning 2 like 15/15 buses with chili pepper is so annoying for other teams, and I know it. I feel like deer, in all fairness, the deer is probably B tier. It's probably B tier. I want to give it A tier, I really do. But in all fairness, it's probably B tier. It's a really good unit. It's a really good unit, but it just, after all that build up, I know. I know. I really hyped the deer up. I really did. But I don't want to let my own personal biases really make it to where I'm not thinking objectively. Like objectively, the deer, I can sell a deer for a better unit. You know, sometimes it's better to take a scorpion over a deer, or just certain things. Like I might have to run a tiger behind my rhino, so I'll sell the deer to put a tiger behind my rhino, and I have to run that. B.5 tier. Honestly, I really do want to put it like right in between here, but I feel like B tier is fair. When you really get a deer going, it really. But that's the thing with a deer. A deer is a nightmare. A level 3 deer with a 1-up is an actual nightmare for summon build. Actual nightmare. Like you're gonna have night terrors. You're gonna wake up screaming if you're a summon build, and you've got a level 3 deer with a 1-up on it, because your whole squad is getting tore through. Like we're running through your whole squad. But if you got units with high HP, the most it's going to do is annoy the team, because it's going to break melon armor, and you know it's going to spawn extra units, and it'll annoy them. You know, it's a lot of damage, 5 behind, so I don't think it's always a good option. The sloth description on the SAP fan wiki is funny though. Yeah, because I know when you see the sloth in game, it's like this animal isn't very good, but he believes in you though, or something like that. Like he's not a very good animal, but he believes in you. Hippo, A tier, easy A tier. I don't know if it's S tier, because in game it doesn't get to like knock out any like as many animals. It could be S tier, but I think it's easy A tier. Hippo is C? No. You get a buffed up hippo with some garlic on it. Oh, you're doing some damage. You're doing some damage. I've gotten so many like 10 wins. I think like 5 of my 10 wins are because of hippos. Before I get off a stream, I'll go through and show some of my 10 wins, because I'm pretty sure at least 5 of them have hippos in it. Hippo's easy A tier for me. A worm, C tier. Could possibly work. I feel like it would be fair to put it in B tier, but I think C tier, because you have to really commit to the worm. Straight up disrespectful to some of the teams. That and a boar. If enemy has big unit as well as unit use, I mean, that could be said with just about every unit here, you know. Yeah, Sloth has no special ability. It's kind of lame combat wise, but truly believes in you. Yeah, that's it. Yep. Yeah, like if the enemy has a big unit in the front, then y'all both have 2 big units in the front, you know. So it just doesn't get to you. That's why I put it in A tier instead of S tier, because it's not the best unit, you know. It's not, you know, one unit that you have, but definitely a really good unit, and it is probably more of a threat to a summoner. Hippo only works versus weak units. Not necessarily, because if you have a 50-40 hippo or a 40-50 hippo, anything with less than, you know, and say it's level 2, you got a 40-50 hippo, 40 damage and 50 health, and it's got melon armor and it's level 2, it's odds are it's going to kill the unit in front of it, and it's going to get 4/4 back, and then it'll probably kill the unit behind that. Even if they both die, that's 2 units taken out. So you take out the first 2 units, and it's a, you know, a 4v3. So it's definitely one of those units that you want to buff up. You could even put a tiger behind it and make it get, you know, 4/4 and then a 2/2 and give it a 6/6 every time. But the boar is just a better version of the hippo. So that's the only reason why I don't give it S tier. Bison, A tier. It is always a good option. It might be B tier. Yeah, B tier. Bison's B tier. Bison is B tier because it's not always a good option, because if you don't have a level 3 early, Bison doesn't scale fast enough. You know, you want to get it before round 6. Maybe 7 at the latest. If you don't get a Bison by round 7 and you ain't pop no cans, then Bison doesn't do it for you. The only reason why you want a Bison is because you want something that scales, because your team has no scaling. But it scales so slow that it's not really, you know, if it's not level 2, it's not really worth it. You know? So I think it's B tier. And then the problem with the Bison is that you have to keep a level 3 unit, even if it's one of your weakest units, you have to keep it in order to keep your Bison scaling. So your other units could be level 2 with 1 mark left and not be able to do it because they're all strong, and your fish is 10-10. You ain't been able to buff it yet because you're buffing other stuff, and your Bison, you got to keep it so Bison keeps scaling. So B tier, contextual. Not the best unit. And you only use it if you have a level 3, and you only use it if you have a level 3 early and you happen to see a Bison early. That's the only time. If that's the case, you get some garlic on it, it's probably an A tier, but I don't think it's always a good option. Rooster doesn't work often. D tier. I think the only time you see a rooster work could possibly work. C tier. Because a rooster can really mess some people up. Rooster can really mess some people up. I had to think about that twice. Rooster is S? No. No. Rooster, only reason why Rooster is C tier is because it spawns a unit with 50 attack, but 1 health. So, I've ran that with a hedgehog build. You know? Or you know, any kind of build with like hurt triggers, and then a rooster versus another summon build, or a deer. Oh my god, a deer is blowing through. A deer with a 1-up is blowing through roosters. Rooster is the best unit in the game of scale. Nah. Maybe that's because I personally don't ever really use the rooster, just because I feel like you have to commit to a summon build, or you have to commit to really like going for the buff rooster, and I just don't see it going, because I like to have units that have some HP, you know, if the ability isn't making it work. I know, but it doesn't scale the chick's health. It scales the chicks, it does, you know, because a level 2 rooster brings you know, I think a level 2 rooster will bring out 2 chicks with half the damage with 1 HP. If you have a 50 rooster, then you'll have a 25-1 chick. Yeah, okay. So yes, that's just my thing. Is like, for me, I think it's mainly just because I run a deer a lot. And because I run a deer a lot, I haven't really had that many trouble with roosters, just because chili peppers is a rooster's worst nightmare. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even get a chance to really attack. And then on top of that, if you have a rooster that hasn't been able to really get fully buffed, then a hippo is tearing through a rooster. You know, it's really getting to him. You know, maybe a rooster with garlic and it hasn't gotten buffed up. If you don't have just the hat, you cut the attack in half and then give it 1 HP, it just doesn't do it for me. It's one of those ones where I'm feeling generous by giving it a C tier. I feel like Dodo Rooster, that's not meta no more, you know. Arashi, hey, how are you? Glad to see you. High Rooster is second best after Leopard. You got to try. I don't think Leopard's the best unit in the game, but I do think it's good. Leopard is a great unit, especially level 3 buffed up Leopard. Nasty unit. Level 3 Rooster deals 125 damage. It does, but it doesn't. Because if I have a deer with a 1-up, it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, even if I have just 1 deer, it doesn't. What if you ran 4 sheep with mushrooms on them and a shark at the back? I mean, where's your scaling? And you couldn't run 4 sheep. That's the problem, is because your first sheep wouldn't be able to spawn both sheeps. So you could run 3 sheep with 1-ups. Then that would be, I mean, honestly, that would be so scary. And then run something in the front, like a rooster that you just beef up and don't give it a level up, you know. But the problem with that is that if you have a shark with that much that much boosting, the most that your shark can get up to is 50-50. So if you have a level 2 shark, your shark's probably going to be 50-50 by the time you're getting down to your last couple sheep, you know. So you're not even buffing at that point, especially if it's late game. So that's the reason why I don't run shark. It's just because it's not like the most you can get to is 50-50. I'd rather get a thing that's already at 50. You know, I want to get it there. Leopard, Rooster are the best in-game units. Mm-mm. Buff turtle. Buff turtle. Turtle is one of my favorite units to run in game with some meat on it or something like that, or some melon. I love a strong turtle because nobody sees it coming. A strong level 3 turtle, it don't matter. You can run leopard all day long, but if I get that melon armor popping off, boom, you're toasted. But if you don't have a build to counter leopard and rooster, that's a very tough team to go up against. Absolutely, you're absolutely right. Playing normal game, 15 HP than rooster. Always. Oh, that's more versus. We're talking more arenas with this. Rate the items after this. I probably will, but since it's 2:30 on my side, I'll probably have to do it because I'm going to do an entire stream where I do a tier list. For the people who are here, this is spoilers. That's what me and Sammy Tran were doing. We're doing like a whole stream of doing all of our favorite tier lists. So I'll probably do that if the homie Rice Monster can stream tomorrow. Then we'll be right back to doing tier lists tomorrow. But yeah, so it's 2:30 on my side, so I wanted to finish this tier list and then be done because I want to go to sleep. I'm tired. His name is Carl. Yes, I'm sorry, Eliminate. His name is Carl. Why would you buff a turtle when you can buy melon armor? Because think about it. If you have 2 or 3 strong, okay, for instance, this is a build that I ran before. You got a penguin. It's level 2, and you got a turtle in the front. And you've got a rhino and a tiger. And you've got a level 2 turtle. And it's a 25-20 with meat on it. And it's going ham on the first 2 units. And then popping melon armor onto the 2 units behind it. So even if that team had leopard or dolphin or mosquito, you can't pop my melon armor because I don't have it yet. So it gives you that added benefit. And then it also is counter for scorpions that are in the middle or second position scorpions. Buff Turtle counters so many snipe builds. So many snipe builds. And that's only if you have the HP to deal with it. But yeah, like honestly, you guys have to watch me play some Super Auto Pets. Like I wish that you guys were here when I was playing Super Auto Pets earlier. Maybe I should stream later on in the evening. I don't know. But yeah, hopefully you guys are here for some more streams because I do play Super Auto Pets pretty often. So you guys can like criticize my builds and roast my builds because I don't win that much. I'll be back to see more streams for sure. Hey, I appreciate that. I always love having new people. You play versus or arena only? I play both. I play a lot of arenas. Because sometimes versus just takes a little bit longer. Like I don't waiting that minute. Like when arenas, you just click it, it's instant go. You know those games go by quicker than versus. So sometimes I play more arenas than versus. But versus is a lot of fun because I can really get strong builds. I can reduce the timer, but only if I make the lobby. That's the only time. If I make the lobby, then I can reduce the timer. But if I'm joining a lobby, I can't reduce the timer. Let's see. Okay, Skunk. Honestly, A tier. Skunk is A tier. You get a level 3 Skunk, you're reducing the strongest enemy's HP by 99%. It's easy A tier. This is a super big counter for a caterpillar, like a bison caterpillar build. Super big counter because you nerf that to 1. Now it takes 15 HP from another unit that doesn't have a lot of HP. It's super good, honestly. There's not even much that needs to be said about a Skunk. When I see a Skunk, I'm tempted to buy it if I have an open slot, or a slot that I can sell. Chicken, I've seen some people do some nutty things with the chicken. I don't know if you guys seen Ludwig's latest video, not his latest video, but one of his more recent videos. He actually had one of the nuttiest teams I've ever seen in Super Auto Pets. Like almost all 50-50s with the chicken. Because of the chicken, like the buffs that he was able to do. It's like a dragon, but for the animals in the shop. But it's all the animals in the shop, so it's not just the team. Chicken is nuts. It's actually nuts. So I think it's a C tier. I built it up. I know. I did all that build up. I only put it in C tier just because I've never used the chicken for good effect. You need to get lucky shops. Exactly. Kind of like the dragon. You need to get those level 1s. And it takes a lot of work. And you have to not lose while you're buffing your shop animals. Um, so I think it's C tiers, maybe, but I think because if you get it to work, it's one of the craziest things that will work if you can get it to work. A lot of C tiers here. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that's fair? Do y'all think it goes D tier? I feel like because if you get it to work, it's really nutty. So I think C tier is fair. I don't think it goes B or A or anything like that, but I think C tier could possibly work under certain circumstances. Lobster, F tier. Moving on. Llama doesn't work often. It's like a bison, but you have to run a 4 squad with it. It's not a terrible unit, but it's not a good unit at all, by no means. There's not much that needs to be said about it. 2-2 every round. You got to run a 4 squad. Marty, not good. Not good. Are you ranked for arena? I didn't know there was ranks for arena. I have no clue. Llama is G tier. I have no. Oh, Llama is G tier. Dang, is that bad, huh? I've seen some people do some decent stuff with a llama, but I don't think it's F tier. I think since it's got the same effect as a puppy and a bison, but you just got to run a 4 squad. It is easier to run a 4 squad than a 3 squad because you're able to focus more on buffing those units. Poodle, A tier. You get a level 2 poodle popping off, and your synergy is right for your units all being different tiers. Poodle is kind of nuts. It's a really good scaler. It's always going to scale your whole team if you did it right. Buffalo could possibly work. I think it's C tier. I don't think you're bound to get a few wins, but with a buffalo, I think you have to work for it. It's this in decent good mid game, but past 16 round, it's going to lose if you ran into try hard combo. Maybe that's more of a versus thing. In arenas, it's a little different. Different builds are going to work in versus arena. That's a weird sentence to say. But yeah, arenas micro build is almost unbeatable. It's very difficult to beat a micro turtle build. Yeah, I feel like it could possibly work. Buffalo, I don't think it's B tier. I think it's definitely A tier. You can really get it going with a buy sell meta, but I don't think so. I think honestly, Rhino is one of the strongest units in the game. To me, I give it A tier. I honestly get a Rhino A tier. That could get a little spicy in that one, but I honestly think it's A tier. Just because I like to go Tiger Rhino, and behind a level 3 Rhino doing 12 damage and a level 2 Tiger, because that's one of the ones I had. I wish I would have won with that one so you could see it, but I didn't, unfortunately. But yeah, it was doing 12 damage, and so it's doing 20 damage if it knocks out a unit. You know, it's doing 20 damage to the next unit and then hitting it. Rhino, but I'm biased again. So maybe I put it B tier. I'll put it B tier because I don't want to let my bias make me not think objectively. But the Rhino is one of the best units, honestly, especially against summon builds. A Rhino against summon builds, once again, it's a nightmare. Rhino is better than Hippo, absolutely. I've had instances where I've gone with a Rhino and I've attacked the first unit and the next team didn't attack me again because I kept killing their next unit, and the attack, the ability resets every time you kill the unit, and it comes up and you killed the unit. So it just keeps going and going and going. If that teammate like doesn't have a lot of HP, you're killing the whole team and you don't even have to attack. So I feel like B tier is fair. My bias would put it at an A tier because of how often I like to take it, but I feel like it's fair. A shark could possibly work. I don't think you're bound to get a few wins with a shark. I've beaten sharks too many times with no difficulty. I honestly don't lose to sharks that often to where I feel like it's B tier. I feel like the shark should probably be maybe 1 HP stronger. Maybe get, I think it's like a 2-1 for each enemy that, each like unit that gets killed. Maybe it needs to be a 2-2. Then it will probably be OP, but it at least be viable. I don't think it's a B tier though. I don't. I never really lose to sharks. I'm never, when I see a shark, I don't get scared. I don't get nervous. It's just like, okay, I'm gonna kill that. You know, I'm more scared of a turkey than I am a shark. A seal, C tier. If you run a good food build, maybe seal with a bunny, it can really get going. It's a really good scaler. But I don't think it's something that you get like with a plan to win. I don't think you get a seal like, oh, we're about to start winning now. You got to really invest in a seal. Scorpion, easy S tier. Easy S tier. Seal does scale really well. It does, but you really got to commit to it. You really got to commit to it, and it works really well when you have like a cat or a bunny. So you kind of have to give it some assistance. And then you want it to be like level 2. So it's one of those ones where it could be B tier. It could be B tier. Yeah, I feel like B tier is fair. Because if you get a rabbit and you get a cat with it, under certain circumstances, it can be really nasty. It can be good. I give it a B tier, but a low B tier. I'm not giving it a high B. Low B. Low B. Cow is easy A tier. When you see a cow, you want to buy it. If you have the option to buy a cow, you're buying a cow. That's the thing. That's the thing with the cow is that if you have the ability to buy a cow, you buy it. Majority of the time. Unless you're already scaling really well. If you have some really good scalers, you don't buy it. But if you don't, like if you have a buy sell meta going on or something like that, you always buy a cow. Parrot. I feel like if you take a parrot, parrot's B tier. A parrot is B tier because you're able to copy the ability of any unit in the game. That gives the parrot versatility that no other unit has. I don't think it's always a good option because sometimes you don't want 2 of the same unit. So I think it's easy B tier. You know, you get a parrot behind a deer, it's nasty. Parrot behind a rhino, that's even good. It can't copy a scorpion, but a parrot behind sniper builds, a parrot behind a leopard or a dolphin or something like that, that's when the parrot really goes crazy. Having an extra sniper or maybe an alligator. I've run parrot alligator before. So it's good. It's a good unit when it's copying certain units, but I think it's got versatility better than pretty much any unit here. Alligator. I feel like an alligator's C tier. Because it's only really a threat to summon builds. 8 damage isn't enough. If you level it up, sure, but you're really... I feel like it's got to go where the dolphin is. It's good anti-turkey tiger fly thing, but since turkey, fly, tiger, that kind of meta, summon meta isn't really meta no more, the alligator isn't as viable. And then if you're doing this for summon builds, 16 damage is more than you need. So what are you really using the alligator for? What, like, you have to get really lucky with the alligator snipe to maybe snipe a badger or a summon build, or but odds are 95% of the time using an alligator, you're sniping a scaler. You're sniping a monkey or a penguin. You know, something that already have 5 HP. That's why I think the dolphin is C tier. Because majority of the time, you're sniping a unit that's already, like, irrelevant. You know. Turkey, they're, like, bound to get a few wins. Definitely B tier. Probably A. It's actually A tier. It's actually A tier. The turkey's A tier, and I struggle with putting it in the A tier. B tier. B tier. Yeah, B tier. I don't know. That's tough. A or B? I feel like A. Because if you're running a summon build, you're not running a summon build without a turkey. You're just not. And you get a level 3 turkey, maybe a tiger behind it. A summon build literally lives off of a turkey. So I feel like it's A tier. Gotta be A tier. You can't run a summon build without a turkey. Unless you're running like something crazy like a shark with no turkey or something, and you're just focusing on what your summoning units are, you know, boosting on that. But most of the time you're going to run a turkey to boost those units you're summoning. I I'd like to run Tiger Turkey. You know, I think that'd be cool. I never ran it before, but I ran Turkey, and I ran like Parrot Turkey, which I think is just as good. A goat, F tier. I think the only time a goat might work is if you're running like a dragon build and you're buying and selling pets like that. But you don't really want to go in for that. You want a swan or something for the gold. So F tier. Goat is very good with chicken, but it's not good with anything else. And a chicken's already barely C tier. So other than that, if it's not with a chicken or a dragon, it's useless. And you don't really want it in. You'd rather have a unit in with an actual ability to use to buff rather than a goat. You don't want to buff a goat. You want to buff something that's good in battle. You know, that has an ability to use in battle, like a leopard or something. So I think goats, honestly, F tier. I don't think it ever really works. You never see a goat unless you're watching a streamer do something crazy, go for a zany build, a wacky build. Northern Lion wants to be weird, you know, something like that. An eagle could possibly work. Eagle is not one of the units that you want to see that you would think is B tier. Late game, it's a late game unit. The late game summon unit. Eagle is A. I don't know what under what context the eagle is, but that's probably because you can get a turn 7 T-Rex if you pill eagle. That's true. That's true. But I don't think it's something that you see an eagle and you're like, oh, that's going to change the game. I don't think that's something that you see with an eagle. I don't think you see an eagle and you're like, oh, dang, they're running an eagle. Like, can it change the game? Can it? I don't know. I think I gotta leave eagle C tier. I feel like it would be okay when you pill it and get a... So, on the off chance that you pill it and possibly get a dragon or a T-Rex. But what if you get a mammoth? You know what I mean? Like, there's a chance that you can... And the whole crazy part is that you're getting a eagle on the chance that you'll get a better tier 6 unit. You know? Like, it's not worth it. At that point, you might as well just wait and get a T-Rex in the shop. You know? Which I think that these are two different tiers. I think this is a tier 5. But still, it's like, you got to get the eagle, hope to roll a pill, and then pill it and hope to get a T-Rex or a dragon. So I just don't think it's viable. I think that you leaving it up to RNG at that point. So at Bose, you get the pill the mammoth and get an 8/8. That's only if it's a level 3 eagle. And then you'd have to get another pill. And you know it's hard to roll pills in the late game. It's just hard. You don't get that many pills late game. So you got to use a lot of gold, get a lot of pills, hope for good RNG. You know, that's why I say it could possibly work. Seems like a good description. That's why I add the descriptions. I don't want to just have the tier. You have S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, F tier. See it, buy it. When you see the unit, you buy that unit. That's the context for that. You see a scorpion, you typically go and buy that scorpion. Always a good option is good context for an A tier. Bound to get you a few wins. Depending on the context, I think a CO can get you a few wins. Could possibly work. I feel like it's fair enough for a C tier. Doesn't work often. I mean, that's a D tier. Fair. Fail. I mean, F tier. You don't need to say much. B then. I mean, I feel like it's cool to go in B, but because of my inexperience in using it, I won't give it a B. I got to give it a C. Maybe if I use it more often. That's on me though. I have to use the eagle more often. I need to play on pay to win more often and see how I like the eagle. But typically, I'm always committed to a build before I get the eagle and never get to really run it. And I don't do summon builds enough to really feel comfortable running an eagle. Microbe. I want to give it S tier. I really do, but it's not an S tier. It's an A tier. It's an A tier. Because the microbe is only good with a turtle. If you don't have a microbe with a turtle, the microbe is useless. You know. But if you have a turtle with a microbe is dangerous. It's almost unbeatable. It is probably the strongest meta right now. It's probably the strongest meta because it's anti-scorpion tech. If they run a 1/1 scorpion, you got the microbe in the front. Both the microbe and the scorpion die. Rest of the teams get weakened. You got your turtle. Turtle does damage. Maybe even kills a unit depending on how strong your turtle is. Gets melon armor. Microbe is just... It's definitely one of the strongest units or strongest builds that you can do. And the sucky part is, just like a lot of units, you have to marry the microbe. If you're going microbe, you got to marry your turtle and your microbe. You can't run anything else. Those are your 2 slots right there. You got to run 3, whatever the heck. So you run this, a microbe, and a scalar, and that's it. Whatever else you run, you're stuck with it. So that's the only tough part about running that build. But it's one of my favorite builds to run. A leopard, A tier. Easy A tier. I feel like it's an easy A tier because the more you buff it, the more damage it does. The more you level it up, the multiple enemies it'll hit. I don't think it's a S tier because it doesn't work with every build. And it's not something that when you see a leopard, you're buying it. You're not like, if you've already got a strong unit, you're not going to sell one of your strong units to throw a leopard in there and try to buff it up, you know. But I do think it is always a good option to take a leopard. Fly? Fly is B tier. Bound to get you a few wins. If you're running a summon build and you run a fly, you're bound to get a few wins. Fly is S? Nah. I'll give it an A tier. That's mainly just because breaks melons, destroys summons. It does break melons, but any summon build breaks melons. And if you just have a strong summon build, you know, you run a bunch of deer parrot, that's destroying a summon build. So if you just run a different kind of summon build, you're destroying a summon build, you know? So an argument can be made for the fly, but it's not an S tier. Even when I run summon builds, I don't always take a fly. I don't. I take a parrot over a fly. You can put a fly in any comp, not just summons. Yeah, but you don't want to put it in any comp that isn't a summon. Because it typically, starting off, it only summons a 5/5. And then it'll summon a 10/10, you know, if you level it up. So you're never going to see a fly that's not in a summon build. You're never going to see it. Because it is a summon build's best friend. So for a summon build, in that context, it is A tier. But 3/5/5, that's 20/20. Yeah, but you keep adding the stats up, and that's a problematic thing because it's not like you have a 20/20 fly sitting out there. It doesn't work that way. Like I said, if I have a deer and you run a fly, then you're only summoning 1/5/5 at a time, you know. And if I have garlic, that's a 2/2. You know, you know what I'm saying? Or a 3/3. So a fly against garlic armor hippo, that doesn't mean anything. So it's one of those ones I'm torn. I want to give it a B tier. Because even for a summon build, you don't always go fly. I'm going B tier for that one. I'm going B tier. Because even when I run a summon build, I don't always take a fly. I do think objectively, though, for a summon build, it is A tier. So I'll give it A tier and I'll sit at that. I'll sit in A tier. That's fine. Dragon, honestly, it's probably one of the strongest units in the game. I gotta give it an S tier. Dragon is one of the strongest units in the game. You get a level 2 dragon or a level 3 dragon, it's one of the strongest units. It's not one of the ones if you see it, you buy it, but it's one of the strongest units in the game by far. The only counter to it is that you have to have a pivot spot open. So you have to have a spot open, and you can buff the dragon itself, but you can only have 3 units that you've kept and have been buffing. And so, you know, you buy the dragon, you sell one of your scalers, and then you run dragon build. And then you're kind of a victim of your shop. So you want to have a swan. So contextually, I think A tier, because S tier. Yeah, S tier. You get a level 2 dragon, it doesn't matter. I think S tier is fine. Snake. Snake is B tier. I think if you get a leveled up snake, maybe with a tiger behind it, it's really good. But snake late game isn't that good. It pops melon armors, but it's not one of the ones that you use llama dragon, have no draw. That's very facts, Panzer. And hello, first time chat. That's actually facts. If you're already running a 4-squad Marty, then I mean you're golden if you get a dragon. That's honestly probably the best unit you can see if you're running a 4-squad. So absolutely, that's facts. But you know, most people aren't already running llama. That's why I got it down here at D. Doesn't work often because you never see llamas. Your only time you're going to see somebody running a 4-squad is if they're trying to do a challenge, if they're trying to get a level 3 llama. But nobody intentionally runs level 4 units because they think it's just a meta or it's better. You know, they typically want to fill all their spots. Snake, B tier. I feel like that's fair. I don't think it's A tier. I really don't. Tiger, probably one of the best units in the game. It might be A tier. I think it's A tier. I think it's always a good option. Always a good option to take a tiger. Sometimes you sell a strong unit to make a tiger fit. I think it's one of the best units in the game, and it's not even close. I mean, this is a high A, a very high A. Tiger whale deer is so nice. Not a bad meta. I like to run the tiger rhino, level 3 rhino, level 2 tiger, level 3 tiger, something like that. It's so annoying, but definitely tiger behind almost any strong unit is just tiger behind a snake. Even it's just so rough. Tiger skunk even. Tiger is one of the best units. I want to give it S tier, but I feel like the only reason is because it has low stats. So it's not the best unit, but it is one of the best units. Very well rounded. I think A tier, high A tier for a tiger. Cat is B tier. Cat's honestly A tier. It's not something that you always take, but if you do take it, it's really strong. You get double on all your foods. If you're already running a food build, your cat is your best friend. Say you got a bunny, seal, cat. Oh my god, your team is cracked out of their mind. You know. So the cat's got to be A tier. Just really strong unit. Gorilla, B tier. I feel like the only problem with the gorilla is that it shows up so late and its stats are so bad. They're missing a boar on this, which is funny. Like that's one of the only units that I think they're missing is a boar. I don't see it on here. But yeah, gorilla is probably B tier because its ability to ignore damage is one of the strongest in the game, you know. But because it's late game, you don't really have that happen very often. So, and it's hard to scale it. It's really hard to scale a gorilla if you don't have a lot of HP in the late game. You get a gorilla, sometimes you're already on lethal. You can't run it. So I got to give it B tier just because of its bad stats and when it shows up, and its ability makes it hard to use in the very late game. Yes, exactly. That's exactly my whole point. He shows up so late, it's hard to buff him. The only time you can really buff him is if you're running, you know, a level 3 penguin or something, and you can throw him in the 3rd slot or something. This is a good tier list to try the game with. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm glad. I gotta get an explanation for why each one is where it is. A mammoth. I like a mammoth, but I gotta give it C tier. Its stats aren't that good. It's one of the animals that you want to pill for the permanent buff. But I've gone level 3 mammoth, and I really like it. Level 3 mammoth is it's actually cracked. Level 3 mammoth with a 1-up is one of the strongest units I've actually ran a build with, because you put a stake on, you put him 1-up on your mammoth in the front, and when he's level 3, I think he's giving 6/6. I think it's 6/6 to every unit, and then he comes back as a 1/1, but he's still level 3, so he's still giving 6/6. So every one of your other teammates get +12/+12. And if they already have melon armor, like, that's 4 really, really strong units. So, oh, good night to you, Eliminate. Appreciate you coming through. We're actually about to wrap the stream up. We're almost done with this tier list, so I will be back tomorrow evening. But yeah, I gotta get some sleep. It's definitely it for me. Sauropod, I'm probably going F tier. I know, I'm sorry. It's just not a unit you ever see used. But the question is, isn't pilling him and getting another unit instead better? Yes, it is. It indeed is. It's just hard, because if you're going that route, sometimes, like, when you're getting mammoths, you're not getting that many pills in the shop. So it's one of those tough calls. Like, you run a mammoth, and if you get it to level 2, you've already invested in the mammoth. You've used chocolate, you've put mammoths on it. You know, you've gotten 3 mammoths. So it's like, do you want to pill it now and get a +4/4? Like, you've invested, what is that, 9 gold right there to get a 4/4 on the whole team. It's worth it, but then you have to roll and hope you get a pill. So it's one of those tough ones, you know. But I got to give it C tier because it could possibly work under the right circumstances. I don't think it's a bad unit at all. Octopus, listen, Octopus is a freaking strong unit. I want to give it S tier, but I can't. I can't give it S tier because the only time it's S tier is if it's level 3 and if it's really beefy. You can get a really beefy octopus though. You need you need to get a level 3 octopus, and a level 3 octopus that's probably, let's say you got a 50/50 octopus with melon armor, put it in the front, it's doing 5 attack. Say you got a tiger or something behind your octopus, which I don't think you can get a tiger behind the octopus. Maybe you can, I don't know. I don't run pay to win enough to know if tiger shows up. But yeah, you get a tiger behind your octopus, that's 10 damage to everybody, popping melon armors, and you hit melon armor, and then you can attack again. Imagine a level 3 octopus 50/50 with a level 3 tiger. Well, not like, I don't know. Would the tiger behind the octopus make him repeat its ability, or you'd have to have a level 3 tiger? If that's the case, then that would make sense, because it would make him repeat its ability. Pay to play, not pay to win. It is true. It is pay to play. Everybody calls it pay to win though, so it's just one of those things that it's just a phrase that they go with. But you're absolutely right, Panzer. It is pay to play. T-Rex, easy S tier. S tier unit. You get a level 2, level 3 T-Rex, game is over. It's done for. You know. Save. Super auto pets. So that's it right there. That's my official Super Auto Pets tier list.